How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to learn how to make the TV that you see on screen here. The only thing that we're going to need to get started with this is Inkscape, which is a free design tool. I'll go ahead and link more information on Inkscape in the description box below. The first thing that we're going to want to do is come over here to the star and polygon tool. Make sure that we have the corners set to 4, the rounded set to 0.050, and the randomized set to 0. Holding Control on the keyboard, I'm just going to drag out a little square there. With our object selected, I'm going to just go ahead and drag this edge out just a little bit. And there we go, we have our screen for the television. The next thing we're going to want to do is come over here to the rectangle tool. Go ahead and just drag out a rectangle. Click S on the keyboard to select the selector tool. Click on the original object here. We're going to right click and copy. Go ahead and click anywhere on the canvas to deselect. Select this rectangle here. Come up here to the edit menu. Go down to paste and paste size. I'm just going to update the colors here so it's easy to see. Go ahead and select both objects and come over here to the align and distribute menu. Make sure that you have this set to last selected. And with that done, we're going to go ahead and center on the vertical and horizontal axis. If the second rectangle you created is above the first one, like you see here on my screen, go ahead and select that top rectangle and come over here and lower that to the bottom. With that rectangle selected, we're going to want to hold Control and Shift on the keyboard and just drag this out until it looks just about right. Go ahead and click on this bottom rectangle and right click, duplicate. We're going to update this color here. We're going to lower that to the bottom, and with it still selected, hold Control and Shift again until it looks just about right. Once you've done that, go ahead and just drag this right edge out again. And what we're doing here is making room for our dials in our speaker box over here. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and select our design so far and click 3 on the keyboard so we can zoom in. The next thing that we're going to want to do is create the dial. So I'm going to come over here to the ellipse tool, and I'm going to want to drag out a perfect circle. It's purple because it's the last color that I used. So I'm just going to drag it out right here, but I'm going to update the color to this gray here. Click S on the keyboard to use the selector tool, and I'm just going to drag this over. Control and Shift so that it scales out proportionately and from the center until it looks just about right. The next thing that we're going to want to do is duplicate this object here. So with it selected, I'm going to right click, duplicate. I'm just going to go ahead and drag this over here, change this to a lighter gray. Next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and drag this guy down. With this rectangle selected, I'm going to go ahead and hold Shift on the keyboard and select this circle as well. So that selects both objects. And then I'm going to go ahead and center on the vertical and horizontal axis. Sorry. Go ahead and click anywhere and just drag, holding Control and Shift. I'm just going to scale this guy down until it looks just about right. Go ahead and play with your dimensions here until it looks good to you. And that right there looks like a dial to me. I'm going to go ahead and select both objects, right click, and group. The next thing that I'm going to want to do is make another dial. So what I'm going to do is with this group selected, I'm going to right click, duplicate. Holding Control on the keyboard, I'm going to drag this down so that it locks onto that vertical axis. With this dial selected, go ahead and click it again. And what this does is it shows these little rotation handles. And we're just going to adjust that until it looks right. Maybe select both, center that until it looks good. Good amount of space. And that's looking pretty good for now. The next thing we want to do is create the speaker box. So go ahead and click on this rectangle here, right click, duplicate. With this top rectangle selected, go ahead and just select either one of these dials by holding Shift on the keyboard so that we have both objects selected. And we're going to align right edges. With this rectangle selected, I'm going to go ahead and bring in this left edge right a little bit past that dial there, maybe right there. And then with this top edge, we're just going to bring it down. And that looks just about right to me. Follow your heart with that. And sweet. We are looking pretty good so far. The next thing that we're going to make is the antenna. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this shape one more time. Right click, duplicate. And then with it selected, I'm going to go ahead and select this purple rectangle by holding Shift on the keyboard and then centering on the vertical axis. I'm going to go ahead and deselect and then select this rectangle again. Holding Control, I'm going to slide this guy up. I'm going to bring this bottom edge up a little bit too. We don't need that much. With that object selected, I'm going to lower that to the bottom. Now, something that I don't like here, this is just a little too wide for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold Shift on the keyboard, and then I'm going to drag this edge in. What it does is it does it symmetrically when we hold Shift. So we're going to do that until it looks just about right. And that looks fine to me. Let's come over here to the ellipse tool and just create a little circle. It can be perfect. You can hold Control so that it makes a perfect circle, or it can be random. I'm going to go ahead and just go with the perfect circle. Hit S on the keyboard so that we can select this rectangle here holding Shift. We're going to go ahead and center that, and then we're going to send this to the bottom. We're just going to update the color so that it matches. Maybe bring that down right there. That looks good to me. The next thing that we're going to want to do is draw out the little antenna. And there's many ways to do this. One of the ways that we can do this is by selecting the pencil tool over here. We're going to want to make sure that we have it set to Bezier mode. And I like to set the smoothing to 30. The shape is set to none. With those settings set, I'm just going to go ahead and draw out some antenna. We're going to make them look kind of crazy here. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to click S on the keyboard for the selector tool. Hold Shift and select both antenna here. We're going to come over here to the Fill and Stroke tab, and then to the Stroke Style tab. And I'm going to set the width to 11. With both the antenna selected, I'm going to hold Shift on the keyboard and click on the color so that we can update the color of these strokes here. And there we go. We have our antenna. I'm going to come over here, get the ellipse tool, draw a little perfect circle by holding Control, S on the keyboard to move this guy around. Place that guy there. Click on that circle again, duplicate it. And there we go. We have our antenna. The second to last thing that we need to create now is the legs for our television. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is duplicate this little speaker box here by clicking right click, duplicate. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in by using the zoom tool over here. Click S on the keyboard to select the selector tool. With this square selected, I'm going to go ahead and hold Shift on the keyboard. Select this purple rectangle. I'm going to come over here to the Align and Distribute menu and align the left edges. Then I'm going to send this guy to the bottom. Now I'm going to bring this in a little bit until it looks just right to me. With this rectangle selected, I'm going to come over here to the Path menu. Then I'm going to click on Object to Path. Then I'm going to come over here to the left-hand side and click on the Node tool. You can also activate it by clicking N on the keyboard. Now I'm going to take this bottom right node here and select it. And I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard so that it locks onto that axis. And I'm just going to slide that over until it creates our leg. That looks just about right to me. S to select it. What I'm doing there, by the way, when I zoom out is I'm holding Control on the keyboard and then I'm scrolling back on my mouse. Go and select the leg here. Right click, duplicate. Then we're going to come up here to the object flip and we're going to flip this horizontally. slide this over. Go ahead and hold shift and select on this purple rectangle here and align the right edges. Then we're going to go ahead and lower that to the bottom. And there you have it, folks. We're pretty much done here. The last thing that I like to do is to give the TV a little bit of character. Is I'm going to go ahead and add some glare lines. So just the way that we've done before, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this rectangle here. I'm going to change that color to this light blue here. And I'm just going to bring that down to there. I'm going to bring this duplicated and bring this guy up here. You can create as many or as few as you want here. Feel free to play around with it until it looks right to you. Kind of giving the bit of a random look here. Now with all three objects selected, I'm going to come up here to Path, Union. With this one object selected now, I'm going to go ahead and click again until I get those rotation handles. And I'm just going to rotate it until it looks just about right. That looks good to me. We're going to go ahead and duplicate this object here. So I'm going to right click, duplicate. Now with that top object still selected, I'm going to hold shift and click on those lines below it. I'm going to come up here to Path, Intersection, and if you did it correctly, it'll look like this, and that's what it leaves behind. It gives us a little bit of that TV glare. And there you have it, folks, how to make a cartoon style television. Please leave me any comments, concerns, or questions. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.